Hi, everyone. I hope everyone had a wonderful week and a wonderful 4th of July weekend. This week in class, we were talking about mergers and acquisition. And so I did my Wall Street Journal article on Verizon's, Britain, and BT's to combine overseas operation. So basically, what happened was Verizon Communications and Britain's BT Group, they merged their international enterprise into one joint venture that's worth $4 billion across 180 countries. And by doing this, they were able to cut costs and pivot their focus on their domestic operations because they were both getting hit pretty hard by um, basically other companies in their domestic markets. And so by doing this, creating this joint venture, Verizon gave Britain's BT Group $625 million to make a more equal in owner stake and also to help alleviate any tax burdens because what will come from this. So, um, this is basically more of a asset acquisition because they were buying each other's assets and creating a brand new joint venture instead of a equity acquisition where one company was just coming in and just buying a whole bunch of stock from the shareholders. By doing the asset acquisition over time, is they're going to give they're going to revalue the fair market price and over time allow for higher depreciation deductions to lower tax bills. Also, with all this is going on, because they have created this massive $4 billion global entity now, they're becoming a new joint venture, and that's going to establish new goodwills that can likely motorize over the next 15 years. And that will also giving them a more of a shield to offset future earnings. So I just want to make sure I got all this because don't want to miss any points. But basically, they decided to do all this to make sure that they were not basically competing amongst each others and tried to help each other to make sure that um, they both saw where they needed help. So instead of like one buying out the company or whatever, that they just couldn't come together and make this joint venture. And basically, some of the biggest issues that's going to come from this is basically the $625 million money that was transferred over to the BT group. Because of this pay, they're going to look at this as a payout and they're most likely going to the BT group is going to have to go ahead and pay a bunch of taxes because it's saw as a immediate gain. Um, Also, they're going to have to make sure that they pay at least 15% of taxes across the 180 countries that they are under jurisdiction with. So that way they also don't get a huge, huge, huge tax bill at the end of the day from their country of origin. So basically, there's going to be a lot of issues, tax purposes, because it's not just one entity of here in the United States, but also Britain. So, um, basically, that's what it all kinds of sums up to is is that they're going to be facing some future tax implications. But again, I'm sure their lawyers and their accountants and all their wonderful people already knew all that when they were going in. So it's just going to be kind of interesting to see how this kind of folds out. I know from my past experience, it was the reason why I left the Canadian nonprofit I started, just because any money I would make, um, not only would I be taxed Canadian, but I would also be taxed in the United States, and the organization would also be taxed because they hired an American, not a Canadian. And so we were also looking at those tax implications. And because we're just young and started out, we didn't want to take that risk. So that's why I left. So it's kind of interesting to kind of see how this is kind of playing out at a huge corporation scale. I'm just actually kind of interested in learning more and kind of doing more of a deep dive in that. So that's basically what the article is about two companies forming a joint venture and how they're going to be dealing with the tax implications because of this. So I hope everyone had a wonderful week, and I will talk to you guys later. Bye.